It's a really exciting day for me. I'm down here in Melbourne and talking to Brent. Now, if you don't know Brent Hutchison, you probably do, but you probably would know of his dad. You certainly know of the company. Now, Frank kicked off originally, what, 1969?
1969,
1969,
yeah.
So for 50 years, Terrain Tamer's been rebuilding, supplying parts, fixing things for people. And that goes right back to the Bedford trucks that used to do the inland route and all the rest of it.
That's right,
Isn't it?
yeah. A lot of the guys started here working on those original Bedford trucks.
It's a whole lot of heritage there. And I know, you know, just from travelling the outback and picking up my own Terrain Tamer parts over the last 20 years in some fairly diverse places, that this is an organisation that really knows the bush, knows the outback, and most of all, knows parts. I'm going to say it, mate, because I know you won't, but your company knows parts better than anyone else in Australia, okay?
We've been doing it a long time.
You have been doing it a long time, yeah. Now, so it's pretty obvious that's where Milo 2's engine was going to come, and this is it. This is the one we pulled out of the 12HT. Now, there's a whole lot of different ways you can go about rebuilding an engine, isn't that right?
There is, yeah. It's more of an art than a science too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a black art. And at the end of the day though, you know, you could, for instance, had I been in the mood to do it myself, I could have rung up and I'd need what, the engine number, the year, the model, I'd need a lot of information. But if I did that, I could say, look, I want a rebuild kit for this motor. Now, obviously, I would, at that stage, know what I've bought it out to.
Yeah.
I'd know the crankshaft journal size, stuff like that.
That's it.
And then I could request a kit like this. This is the kit that was put together to rebuild the 12HT. And all these parts are Japanese made, aren't they?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
All OE manufacturers.
All, did you hear that? The important bit, all OE manufacturers. So essentially this is as good or better than new, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. From pistons to bearings to rings, and then the gaskets.
Look, you know, you see this all the time. People go, oh, the motor's been rebuilt. Yeah, but what with and who did it? You know, two crucial questions. And the what with question is the most vital one. This piston, where did this come from?
So it's a Japanese manufacturer. They're art pistons.
Right.
We've used them for probably maybe 40 years. You know.
40 years?
Yeah, very old, traditional family Japanese company.
And so we've got a set of Japanese rings to go on a Japanese piston into a motor that was originally built in Japan. And you're saying, okay, yeah, how could you do that different? Well, I can tell you how you could do it different. You could have used a Chinese piston, or the bloke who rebuilt your motor could have used. That's true, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
There's a lot of choice out there, and if you think you're going to save some money with some cheaper parts, well, think again. Flick it really hard. This is the Terrain Tamer automotive gasket kit to suit the 12HT, by the look of it.
That's right,
isn't it?
Yep.
Now, that's a very comprehensive kit. Where do these come from, Brent?
Look, a lot of these components are made in Australia in the gasket kit.
Okay.
And we've gradually worked our way through it and worked out what's worked well over the years.
Yep.
So they're tailor-made for us and put together here.
So really, you know, that's the refinement you're looking at. I don't really need too many lessons in this, because back home I've got a 13BT motor with over 500,000 Ks on that's running as good as the day it came out of here.
Yeah.
Remember when Alan rebuilt that? What's that, 11 years ago now?
It was, on your birthday, I remember.
On my birthday, don't remind me, yeah. Yeah, it was a lovely surprise when it showed up. So this is the way it works, okay? In this case, 12HT came out. In my case, I wanted the whole job done here at Terrain Tamer. Essentially, this is what you'd have a range of choices, wouldn't you? You could get your own motor rebuilt if you were prepared to pull it out and wait for another one for that motor to show up.
You can do, yeah.
Or let's just say you were in Darwin, for instance, and you wanted a motor. All you'd have to do is let the people at Terrain Tamer in Darwin know that you wanted the motor, you put down a deposit on it, and they'd come up with a new one, just like this.
That's it. So it would get shipped directly, or from the branch directly to the customer, or they could come and pick it up.
Yep.
then it allows them one day to be able, or a couple of days to be able to change it over. And once we get the core back, then they get their deposit back. So it works quite much easier.
Much easier.
Unless you want your own rebuild.
The beautiful thing about that is that, you know, if it was me doing it in my shed at home, I'd have the old motor there, the new block in the truck, and I'd be pulling stuff off, stuff being all this ancillary gear that goes onto the motor. I'd be pulling all that off and putting it onto the new block. Not going to make too many mistakes, especially if I'm using a Terrain Tamer gasket kit to make sure everything's sealed, which means I can take my time, clean everything up, and all I'm going to lose is, well, I'm not going to lose the deposit, I'm just going to lose the time before I get the deposit back. Or the other way of doing it is insisting that your local engine rebuilder uses a kit like this, because people can do that, can't they?
They certainly can, yeah. So the engine rebuilders would know all this behind the scenes.
Anyway. Yeah.
So there's quite often engines going out with Terrain Tamer engine components inside them.
Yeah.
But otherwise they can call up for an exchange. It's a nice and easy process. But it's a big job and it's an important job, as you know, when you're travelling. So it's best to do it right from the first time.
Look, that's the whole key to it, okay? Good components put together by experienced people. Get it right, do it once. We're talking about diesel engines here that can have a service life, as I've proven, 500,000 k's or more. You get it all right, you get it back, you service it properly, you change the filters with Terrain Tamer filters.
Yeah.
You know, you look after this thing and it's going to go forever. You get the investment back. Lose control of the process when you're rebuilding an engine or having an engine rebuilt, and as far as I'm concerned, you just lost the engine. You might get lucky, but you might not. Yeah.
Now the other interesting thing that we've got over here is the injectors, the injector pump and the turbo, of course.
Now this was all done by MTQ up in Queensland.
Yep.
And I've had it shipped down here so that we can fit it to this motor here at Terrain Tamer.
Assembled, yeah. So once you rebuild the engine, you then got to fit all the accessories, so including these two, plus all the accessories that came off it, before we then ship it back up to you, and that's all installed from there.
If you've followed this process, and I know a lot of you have very, very closely, yes, what you're seeing here is the best possible engine rebuild and accessory rebuild that anyone in this country could have. But I'd take it one step further, because I know Terrain Tamer, and I'd say it's going to be a way better engine than standard. In fact, I know that. It's going to make more power and it's going to last an awful lot longer too. So at the end of the day, gee, it's nice to be able to get the best of everything.
Yeah, it's terrific. So we'll have it in good shape and ready for you to install it up in Queensland.
Can't wait, mate. I can't wait. I can't wait to drive it either. I'll bring it down here and do circle work out in the car park.
Out on the test track.
On the test track, yeah. You'll see that out on the Terrain Tamer test track. Thanks, Brent.
All right, Johnny. Cheers.
Good on you, mate.